haven't been up here at my desk for a long time, and I'm sort of reacquainting myself with some pens that I have here that that I haven't been playing with, and I'd have to fix all sorts of sacks, which is fine. Or I may just not fix them because I'll just have to fix them again when I come back 20 years from now. So, God, this is a nice nib. This is a vintage dip pen nib that I've put in a more modern fountain pen. This nib is from the Aiken Lambert Company. Extra fine, it says number 5. I've put it into a Hicks pen from probably the 50s. Talk about boinga boinga. That's pretty boingy boingy-y. Here's another. These are all dip pen nibs that I've put into more modern holders. Wish you could see how fine these are. Can I get this closer without breaking my aperture here? Of course, I can't see what I'm doing when it's so close, but let me find some ink. I'm waiting for my friend Russell to join me. We gave each other some challenge drawings. And we were going to see what we can come up with. He was a little bit more effervescent with his challenge drawing than I was. I gave him sort of small geometric lines and circles and parallel lines, and he was more action driven. This pen here is one that I used for 90% of my calligraphed envelopes I used to do for a job for nearly a decade, I think. I think it was this pen. This pen always reminds me of celery. This is very springy. Really doesn't take a lot of effort to make it spread. This is the pen I would use if I was writing little tiny place cards. Needed to fill a name and first name and last name on a thing about the size of a business card. I'd use something like this because I'm able to press down and it gets really fat really quick. Whereas if I used a different one, it would take too long, too much space. These are little cards. So if it was, envelopes are this big too. So it would be Mrs. Jeanette. Miss Jeanette McDonald. Whereas if I used that other pen, this one, to write that, I guess it could work. This one is a little sterling overlay, sterling metal pen that this has a little bit of a burr to it, and I don't know why. I think the iridium is pretty well off on this one. This one is a little piece of paper that's stuck in between the two tines, and it's not leaving. And there's a burr on this one. I think the iridium is chipped or off. What happens is the nib picks up a piece of paper. There may not be a piece of paper on it now, but it sort of digs in and lifts up a piece. This nib, I think, is kaput. What about this one? Ooh, this is very, very fine or thin nib. Very fine as well. This is a pen I gave my mother. This had been sitting on her desk. And I guess I took it back after she died. There's an A engraved, which you can't see because it's too dark. A. Okay, this has a hole in the cap. You can see. What kind of nib does this have? Another boingy boingy E1. This is another one that I would use for sort of place card things. It's just very pliable. This one I need to really press down to make it have that thick line. The other ones are much easier to display. This one requires a little bit of oomph. So in a way, it's easier to control. Ones that are too flexible are actually harder to control. I'm not telling you anything you don't know that you haven't heard me say before. The one without a top. Also different. This is just prickly fine. Or prickly. No, it's fine too. Dear me. What haven't I tried? Hey Gary Scott, how are you? Waiting for Russell. Russell and I have a play date. And I'm a little early. I thought I'd look through some of these pens that I haven't played with for a while. Yeah, normally I do my stuff in the morning. I'd love to find the cap to this one. It's a huge Moore eyedrop fill pen. Missing a cap. What's this one? Clips barrel. Boy, this is really tight. This one. Just wants to go back to zero. Let's see, I can go 60 miles an hour, but I want to go back to zero. Hey, Russell. Are you ready, Mr. Russell? Let me move this back up. Russell and I are going to play challenge drawing. And I'll explain how that works in a minute. Oh, you haven't printed it yet. Well, while you print them, I'll explain how it works. Challenge drawing was a game that my second grade art teacher thought up, I guess. And she gave everyone in class a piece of paper, and on each piece of paper she scribbled a little square and a triangle and a dot and a curvy line, and each one was different. And then we as students had to take this drawing and turn it into something. So for example, she could have done the following. Using a Sharpie, don't tell anyone. I think for mine, she did something like this and a that and a this and a that and a that. And I took this piece of paper and I turned it. We could turn it around. We could make it into any direction we wanted. And I turned it around and turned it around, and I think maybe I ended up something like this. And I turned this into something that looked like this. It was a ship, and it had all sorts of different kinds of sails and an anchor and more sails, and I was hooked. I love playing this game, and we call it challenge drawing. And I think I have a copy of what my very first one was. I used to have it up here, but then I put it somewhere else. I think it's here somewhere. I printed it up and have it to remind me of my use. Anyway, it's a very fun game where you don't really have to know how to draw. You just have to be good at telling stories. If you can't draw, you can tell a story. And so I gave Russell a bunch of doodles that he's printing up now, and one of the doodles on the page might have been something that looked like that, and maybe on a different page it was something that looked like that. And I gave him 10 rather, and he gave me 10, except one that he sent me was a duplicate, so I only have 8. And Russell, rather than giving me geometric lines, gave me things that look like this. Oh, Russell's here. Hello, Russell.
Hello.
So your squiggles are very, very action oriented.
Yeah, yours are very structural, and mine are just complete knots.
They're both good though. They both will work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to turn your camera around and look down, can you do that? If not, you can just hold the thing up and show us when you're done.
That's what I figured I'd do, but I could also use this if you want. Let me just...
One of the things with challenge drawings I kind of like to do is to see what the original inspiration was. So sometimes I suggest doing them in a different color but I'm not going to deal with that now. It's just a different way that the game can be played with other people. So, as you know, Russell, we've played this game before. There are no rules. I'm just telling this for the people on TV land. You have to, on a given piece of paper, you have to do one complete drawing rather than three little ones in the corner. Everything has to relate. And here, you can turn them any which way you want. And so you're going to start with that one.
Yep.
Well, I'll start with this one. I've been intrigued. I saw this one and I was intrigued by this immediately because I saw immediately something, but I may change my mind. it's looking rather different than what I thought it was going to look like, so I may change it or not.
I suppose I should cut these ones in half. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll just do them all on one singular sheet.
Yeah, you can if you want. Yeah, they were meant to be cut in half. So you've got 5, and I have 6 or 8 rather.
Yeah, but
because
I'll just slide that one over and pretend like nobody ever saw it.
Or you could just crease it and tear it if you want.
Okay. Tearing. You're forgetting that you're dealing with the person who always keeps a pair of scissors in his pocket.
Well, it's much easier
Never
to run with
who you're dealing with.
It's always easier to run with scissors when you have one in your pocket ready to go.
Mm.
Now, when you run with scissors, Russell, do you run? You arrange the scissors so that each point is going to go into each eye, and you aim it at your eye, and then you run, or do you how do you run with scissors? Do you plan ahead or?
I just the short answer is just fast.
You run fast. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
So if anybody wants to start up a band.
I am going to start this one right now. And I'm going to use a different color to finish it just so you can see where it began.
I don't think I have a different colored Sharpie, otherwise I would do the same. Actually, I bet you I do. I just whatever. Let's see.
So here's the original marathon runner in Marathon, Greece. I had to add his uncircumcised junk.
Have you been?
Huh? So he's running as hard as he can. What do you think? Russell, are you there? Oh, Russell. I think Russell crashed. Russell? Hello, Russell. God, what's wrong with this system?
Hello. I lost it.
Okay,
I don't know.
you're working now. Now you're moving.
Okay, good.
So here was the marathon runner with his running the first marathon runner. It's amazing he could get even a little bit.
He's running in.
He's running and posing for that portrait on the Greek vase.
He's got
so
very long nose.
he does have a long nose and big ears. Russell, you're stopped again. Russell. Oh, now you're going again.
Okay, I'm moving around to see if my connection will change.
Okay.
It's the wonders of living in a rural area.
I haven't decided what to do with this thing yet. This was a tough one you gave me.
Here. Okay, so where that went to? Show it at the end. Oh well, this one I already have.
Oh, a parrot or a quail.
Or some kind of strange, unhappy bird.
Unhappy.
Yes, he's an angry bird now. Don't you see it? Don't you
On
see
your
how
app-
dissatisfied he is?
On your app store, you see those angry birds. And this is a wet, shaggy, and wet dog in the high grass outside the town dump.
Oh my. I can see it now.
You can
That
see it.
first one, I figured I'll show you the first one here.
Yeah.
It is a man. He's found a gnome. He's very surprised.
Where's the gnome? Oh, there's.
Right here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
There's the gnome. Okay. So the triangle you turned into the gnome hat.
Yes, and the arc above ended up being that magnificent landscape you see in the background.
Yes, good.
So
Good. You certainly were you were angry when you were making mine. I can tell that. I can tell that by your zigzaggedy bits.
that's just how I draw most of the time. It doesn't go under any clear structure. It's like looking into the void.
Well, I see a pair of boobs, or these could be butts. A butt.
Mm.
but my mind is in the gutter.
That's the way to use your imagination. Hmm.
Huh.
Well,
This is a tough one, Mr. R. This could be a face and a nose and some eyes. It's so easy to see faces and things, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure that's because we are designed to see faces. I mean, it's the first thing that we're looking at, right? Whenever we're born. So immediately that's what we look for when we look at anything, which has very strange implications for our relationships with animals and refrigerators.
Yes. Well, I'm trying not to see a face here, but faces. I see a turtle that lost its shell. What sort of teeth do turtles have?
I don't think that they have teeth.
Well, mine has teeth.
Do it now. Do it now. We've already designed it with teeth.
I've already designed it with teeth. He has teeth, but his shell, he's outgrown his shell and he's quite unhappy because his shell is back here on his butt.
Ah.
But the rest of his body, he's unhappy. He's not a happy turtle.
Well,
but at least he's not part of that group that's all the way down. He's glad about that. They're over here in the distance. It's because
yes,
of
it's hard being an all the way down turtle.
It's because his shell was so small that he was unable to be part of the tower. And what did this do? The turtles are all the way down. Sorry, on top of the turtle.
See, so the world is held up by 4 pillars.
Yeah,
and each of those pillars is held up by an elephant, who each of which are all sitting on top of a turtle that is held up by another 4 pillars. Then those are all held up by other 4 elephants. So yeah, that's the way that the world works.
No, it's just one group of 4 pillars, each on an elephant, and the elephants are on turtles, and then it's turtles all the way down. They don't alternate.
No, like you got to have the other elephants, because I mean, if you think about it like this, if a giant turtle could only hold like 4 elephants on it, right, at a time. So it would be stupid if you tried to stack a giant turtle on top of another giant turtle. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to stand up.
You're ruining the myth. There's all sorts of people watching this. There's children going to be watching this podcast, and they're going to be
there's children that could be questioning their position on heliocentrism right now. Do you want to corrupt them?
Turtle ocentrism. No.
Yes, turtle.
Tortoise centrifuga. We don't want to confuse
or
them.
Shelleyocentrism, you could say.
More than they already are screwed up. So you've turned that into the big hairy eyebrow eyeball.
He's a cyclops, and on top of him, he's got I don't know what position you're seeing this in. Here he is.
Yeah. So on top of
On
his,
top of him is this little fellow who he doesn't seem to know is there.
what's
Either
the
way,
little,
he's very.
what's the little fellow doing? Is he catching butterflies?
He's just standing there. I don't know whether he's sure whether he's on there, whether he knows he's where
He
he's
doesn't
at.
know that he's in the hairdo of a cyclops.
No, not at all.
God, what is this gonna be? Russell, you gave me hard
What?
ones.
You should have specified for me to give you some more structured lines. Look, the way my mind works is not like, who am I thinking of? This Steele.
Yeah.
I'm not a Pete Mondrian thinker.
You're not
Yeah,
Piet
I'm not
Mondrian.
Pete Mondrian. I'm Jackson Pollock.
Is more
That
your...
is that is to say, I don't propose new theories of how humanity should go about. I just get drunk and throw shit.
Well, I'm making this one into a Gibson girl with a hat and stole. Her hat is quite top heavy, but thankfully she's wearing she's wide of hip. She is big hips and sort of fat ankles. So but her hat is quite it's made of any number of endangered birds' feathers and one bird. Did you clean the basement?
Yeah, I did for the most part. I mean, there's loads of junk around there, but the main thing is just I got the floors fairly cleared out so that we can install new lights.
Oh, the lights are still screwy.
Yes, there has not been light down there for quite a bit.
Well, I was making more feathers, but they've turned into arrows. So she was walking down the street near a park, and some red Indians saw her hat and thought that it was just a bird going by. So luckily they didn't aim higher, otherwise one of the arrows would have gone right through her little noggin.
Well, we're thinking along the same lines. I'm drawing a duck, but he or she or them, they have just been shot.
Oh no.
So, as you can see,
There's a little tear.
there's two bullet holes right there, and there's the terrible bad hunter.
The terrible bad hunter.
I mean, I suppose he's a good hunter, but he's a bad person. Let's say that.
He's a bad person. Well, but he's shooting the duck to bring home to his
No,
cats.
are you kidding this? Are you kidding? He buys his meals from Walmart. He's doing this because he likes to kill.
He likes to kill. Okay. Well, here's my lady with the hat.
She's got quite a fancy hat.
And here are the red Indians with their bow and arrows. They're getting ready to see. The hat is still moving, so they think that the bird is still alive. So I think they're not going to be able to get their dinner until they miss and hit the lady.
Hmm.
See, people, you don't have to know how to draw to play this game.
Yes, because clearly neither of us do.
Russell and I are proving that drawing skills are not required. Dear me, Russell. What is this one going to be? I keep seeing faces. I don't want to see faces. It is funny that we're both drawing sort of childish like.
Well, we're starting with scribbles already, so we're just working ourselves like
Yeah.
a little bit up along the developmental
Yes.
developmental line.
And soon we'll be doing we'll be painting butterflies like Zeus.
Yes, and then afterwards we'll start drawing anxiety and what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, angst-ridden self-portraits. And then we'll become adults and we'll go and get a real job.
With or without an ear, a freshly severed ear area. Okay, this one. These horizontal, well, this, Russell, you're making it so difficult for me. Let's go to this one instead. This is a fragment of a Greek crater. Is that what they're called? Those vases?
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. I learned Italian, Greek.
The part that has been reconstructed, I'm drawing here. This is the part that is not existing. So they fill that in with putty. So the broken and the cracks are here. And you've got the little Greek meander pattern here on the bottom. And here you have just the legs of the gods and goddesses that were depicted in some sort of orgiastic folderol. This one is on his head. There's his hands. I think I'll have a horse in here too. No orgy is complete without a horse, right?
I should think not. No.
Orgies.
I'm certain that the ancient Romans would have agreed with you.
Well, they made him a senator. Might as well make him part of the orgy.
Yeah.
Notice how I did not, in this particular instance, I did not draw their dirty bits. Those have all been lost to history.
Or maybe they were just recently bathed.
That could be true. There.
And
Oh,
here
and
I
you've
am,
made,
this man blowing down the mountains.
well, you've got Zephyr.
I don't know whether Zephyr ever blew down the mountains or not.
Well,
But I mean, I don't know my Greek mythology. I mean, other than what I learned to study that one painting.
well, Gary Scott says we're certainly better at seeing organization in chaos than he is. So we have to continue to find order in our chaos. This one is still causing me. This looks to me like it's a ballerina who was spinning around so much. This is her little tutu. She was spinning around and her legs split apart just for a split second and they got stuck on a little nail or something on the stage, but her body continued to twist around, the top part of her body, like a rubber band on a wind-up airplane. And it's so tight that her arms sort of came out like this, and her head continued to twist. Her nose is here and her eyes are there. Here's one of her boobs with a teat. There we go. How's that for nightmares? You and your sons.
They show up. The sun has to be there. The sun is always there. I'm very heliocentric.
I guess so. Well, here's the Loch Ness monster, and he's the love child of a Loch Ness monster and a water beetle. So he's able to, even though he weighs like 65,000 tons, he's able to just have three little points resting on the surface of the water.
How many did you send me?
I sent you 10.
Okay, I may have only printed out 6. Let me go and print out the others, I guess. Maybe I didn't see them in the email.
Well, they all were sent in the same email. So here are the hills of Bonnie, Scotland in the background. And here's the Loch Ness Monster tourist boat. And here's the Loch Ness Monster just gliding along on the surface of the water. It's a little tail wagging. I'll add one of Russell's sons. Do I hear your printer printing? this is the last one.
Yeah, I just got her.
These are two angry birds, and they're just at it, screaming
I
at
did
each
this
other.
one already. This one I didn't.
They're fighting over a worm. Each one thinks they have the worm. What do you think about that one?
Oh.
Here's the beak. The beak of one. And his wing. And the other one's wing is coming over the top. This is my worm, they're saying, both at the same time. I'm trying to see what you're drawing here, but it'll come to me.
It will. Eventually. Or it won't, and then I'll be a failure.
Or it won't. One or the other will happen. Is that a pot of things being cooked?
Yes, it is a.
Cauldron?
Yes, a cauldron. And with a witch at her brew. And her very worried cat.
Wordy cat?
Worried cat. I don't think she
Worried
would have
cat.
a worried cat.
Oh, the cat probably thinks that the recipe calls for feline additives. Could that be it?
Perhaps that is it.
Well, if I
Or
were a
perhaps it's
witch's,
just worried that that is what is for dinner this evening.
yes, that's another worry. Like the last thing you want to do is eat something that comes out of that pot.
I know what you do with that pot. So there we have it.
Oh. It looks like the witch is in the pot.
It does, kind of.
She's taking a
Maybe
bath.
that's why the cat is worried. Okay, and this is the last one. So let's see. Yes.
You've come up with a cunning plan, have you?
Yes, I know what I'm doing right now.
I could tell
Trust
by
me.
your sudden stifled guffaw. Whining birds and a lock man woman monster is enough to make anyone crazy. Well, I'll take that as a compliment, says
Well,
Carson.
we're already crazy, so we don't need the help.
We don't, yeah, we certainly were already there. And our drawings come with a health warning. Looking at this may cause you to go nuts.
All right. And
Oh, you have an astronaut.
we have an astronaut. He's lost his apples as he floats out in the middle of space. And instead of wondering what he's going to do for oxygen later on, he's thinking how he is going to get his apples.
Well, he has priority.
He has priorities, yes.
His priorities are straight. I'd rather have apples and oxygen, I would think, maybe.
I mean, as long as you got your priorities in life, that's what really counts.
It does.
So that was all the squiggles you done sent me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
you sent me 8.
I did.
Yeah.
I
There
thought I
was one
sent
that was there was one that was a duplicate.
Right. Well, whatever. We made it through.
But we had fun, I think.
Yeah.
I had fun. Did you have fun?
So we'll go through these. So the first one I ended up doing was, of course, this gentleman discovering that the supernatural does exist.
And here's my first one.
Your fantastic marathon runner.
And I did the marathon runner. Okay, your second one was what? Let's see if I can remember my second one. Oh, here's my second one.
Yes, this would be my second one. This very angry parrot.
And I did the mangy dog in the bulrushes. Okay. Third. I think this was my third, the turtle with his shell that was too.
Yes,
we both seem to be sort of on the same routine. We had this little half circle top going on. You have hair and eyeball, and I've got an angry turtle. Okay. 4. What was the fourth one? I think my fourth one was this one, the lady with her hat. And you had the dying. See, we were both dealing with
both
hunters.
Thinking about, hunters shooting things.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed.
Our minds are working together.
We're on the same
wavelength. Marilyn Darling says hi to us.
Hello.
Okay, and then the next one I think was.
So I'd have to admit something.
Oh.
When I saw the plane on this one, I had to restrain myself from drawing the Twin Towers.
Oh, well, that was good. You're showing Captain Scully landing it in the Hudson.
And I'm showing the good thing that happened, not the bad.
The good thing, the good thing. Yep. And then I drew the angry birds and sharing the worm. And then the orgy on the Greek vase with all the good parts missing.
And I think I did the witch at that point.
And then I did the last one. What maybe was this one, the Loch Ness Monster.
And the last one for me was astronaut.
Good. Well, I think that was that we should put these on eBay and see if anyone wants to buy them. We can retire if someone does.
Yes. Retire on my penny pension.
On your penny pension, yep.
I'll be a dime store millionaire.
I think so. I think so. Well, are we ready to call it a day? Take a nap?
I'm always ready to call it a day. I'm always ready to give up and go home.
Well, you're already home. So am I.
Oh well. I'll give up and go to somebody else's home.
Well, you're always welcome here, as you know. I hope you know that if you decide to come to Boston to work, you can stay here for as long as you like.
Don't put yourself at risk there.
You might say yes.
I might take advantage of your offer, but it just depends on what happens.
Let's look at this art book, this art encyclopedia.
What is this art book?
This is
I saw Napoleon there.
Yeah, this has absolutely beautiful little tiny engravings in them. The photographs are not good, as photographs rarely are. But look at this nice little Manet and how beautifully that's engraved.
It would have taken quite an amount of patience.
But I especially love the ones with the little sculpted bits.
Mm-hmm.
They're really, really nicely done. And when I see illustrations, direction books that are made of photographs and black and white photographs, it just turns to mush. Like this is just mush.
Yeah.
These things. But these, the engravings, those engravers were really good at figuring out how to, with black and white line work, reduce. I mean, some
reduce
of them
everything
are bad.
down to its essentials.
This is pretty bad.
But I don't know. He has very nice lipstick on. It looks like
lipstick. He does very nice lipstick. And here's the Paris Opera House. My favorite building in Paris is right there, but it doesn't really do it justice much. It's way too fancy to be illustrated that small, I think.
Would you say that the Opera House is lyrical?
I would say that.
And there's some Japanese paintings or prints, as it were. Is it a woodcut?
It's meant to be. It's meant to look like a woodcut, yes. But anyway, I just really, sometimes when I need to figure out how to draw something to be engraved, I'll look at something similar in this book and I'll blow it up really big so I can see what the hell I'm doing, and then try to copy the line work. Because I mean, this is really good. And how they make that building recede, and the lines that you sort of imagine the detail as much more ornate than it is.
Yes, but they're just sort of like these regular lines, like in Rembrandt, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I really have a hard time drawing buildings where I don't know how to reduce. And here's the vase. The entire vase without it broken off that I drew. Anyway, it's really
you would
a neat
really
book.
like. Have you ever seen Piranesi's etchings?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, those are fantastic. I mean, I like these engravings, and that you find in these manual books and illustration books, because they're very schematic. They're incredibly dry, and yet I suppose it's just looking at it from a distance of time that makes it so interesting. And what are these?
This is
Oh,
a book on commercial art. But I was just trying to find examples of, look at that great tree.
mm-hmm.
And a couple of dames under the palms.
Well, it's commercial art. Can't have the commercials without the dames. Put a dame on it. They'll buy it.
Look at how nice that skull is drawn. Again, it has a crispness because of the lines that sort of
yeah, because the lines follow the contours in the areas where everything recedes.
But they're also straight lines rather than curved. So there's a certain simplicity there, but also kind of crispness that implies exactitude, even though it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this just a manual? Is this a manual or a how-to-do?
This is commercial art, advertising layout. Oh, here's one of my book plates. Excellent with Mr. and Mrs. Bland. Now, who were Mr. and Mrs. Bland? They were accused of.
Well, I was just about to say they were the next door neighbors with no taste.
Well, no, I made book plates for a show, designed book plates, and this is one that I made for Mr. and Mrs. Bland. And Mr. and Mrs. Bland were actual people who murdered someone famous, I think. I have to look this up. And they hit them over the head with a frying pan. So that's what all the dents are. So let me just look this up. Bland murder.
I'm looking forward to seeing the results that you get with this search.
Sarah Bland, that's not it. Okay, so let's try Mr. and Mrs. Bland. Mr. and Mrs. Bland.
While you're doing that, I'm going to switch to a view JFK here. And there he is. Old Johnny F. Kennedy. Along with a coal miner.
See, these are all more modern. There must have been a more modern murder of someone named Bland.
Well, Bland is a pretty blasé name.
It is pretty blasé. God, who was it? They were. I think they killed a tenant.
You could search murder frying pan.
Killed tenant with frying pan. This is all Sandra Bland, which is not the one I'm thinking of.
So, in order to catch the people that were the frying pan murderers, did it take a hard-boiled detective?
Yes, and they had to turn up the heat. They had to turn up the heat, and
he cracked the case.
He cracked the case. Yeah. God, I I mean, I picked those names for a reason and this thing for a reason, but I can't think of what it was.
Well, I can find. I mean, I can. Since you're showing me all of your collectibles, I'm in my
Yeah.
dad's office, so I can show you some of his collectibles. You see JFK there, but can you guess who that is right there, peeking around the corner, right behind the
No.
Virginia, the old colonial town hall? It's Peekapoo. It's
Oh,
uh, it's what's his face? Robert E.
Grant.
Lee.
Robert E. Lee. Oh.
It's Robert E. Lee. Uh, and we have this fella here. We have a knight, and then we have old General Stonewall.
Why all sorts of
All sorts
violent.
of questionable material. And then
And
there's
what's
the.
that? What's the donkey with the lipstick?
So I don't know whether it. I believe it's supposed to be a Democrat symbol
Uh,
because my dad is very. What's the word I'm looking for? Very contradictory. He can have portraits of old General Stonewall there,
uh,
and then he can also, have badges with Kennedy and Johnson and
okay. Cool.
LBJ. These ones are a bit frightening. Don't know if you can see them there. I don't. I fear opening this up. And there you go. But these fellas,
There's a
these
lot
are
of people
things you find in
that
your nightmares.
I'm learning that there's an awful lot of murders by frying pan on the in this world that we live in.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
I'm going to call it a skillet murder. Bland. Oh, eating Raoul, was that it?
No, that didn't close like that. Uh-oh.
Eating Raoul. I think that was maybe that was it. Paul Bland is a balding wine snob who works at a cheap wine shop. His attractive wife Mary is a nurse. So it was from that movie where they kill Raoul with a frying pan and then they eat him.
Oh, well.
Did you ever see that movie?
I have not seen that movie.
Have you ever heard of the movie?
I've not heard of that movie, no.
Well, there is a movie called Eating Raoul, which is about. I would think that would be right up there on your.
It seems like, I don't know. Eating Raoul seems in bad taste to me. I don't.
Well, that was what the Bland was. I remember
the Bland murderers were eating Raoul. I wonder if that was intentional on the scriptwriter's part. It had to have been.
Yeah, it could have been. The book plates I did for a show called Feast, and it was a group show in the building here where people did things that had to do with food or eating or feast, and I had a bunch of book plates that I designed for fictitious people, Julia Child and farmers that make food, and Lizzie Borden. I made the farm, the Borden farm. I made it a farm, and we grow and slaughter our own food. Was their little tagline. So that was where the eating Raoul thing came from. So I'm glad that brain cell was able to be retrieved.
At least we have a use for one of them.
The brain cells.
Yes. The rest of them can all go die in a hole. That's the
Well,
way I've always felt about my brain cells.
the brain cells. No, your brain cells have to be kept going for a long time, mister.
We'll put them in formaldehyde.
Well, we'll keep them functional for as long as we can. I'm going to drink some water and retire to my couch, my fainting
Okay.
couch. This was fun, Russell. Let's do this again sometime. Maybe draw something without the squiggles.
Okay.
Start with just a blank piece of paper and see how far we get.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, be good. See ya. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.